My name is Hector Del Castillo, Chief Product Officer at BoldPM. And today's topic is Supercharge your career through a powerful personal brand. First of all, before we get started, special thanks to everyone at ProductCamp Boston, volunteer staff, the leaders, the sponsors. Without any of those people, this would not be happening. And this is actually an event that has been rising in attendance and lots of sessions going on today. So I'm hoping that you guys will stick around because everybody's working hard to make sure that you have good variety no matter what type, where in the spectrum of product management you're at. Also, shout out to AIPMM because they're actually giving away some of the door prizes that I'm going to be announcing today. Podcast Village because they're partnering with me. When I give them a raw file, they turn it into a great podcast. And there's a channel that is under my company's name that you can actually access because I've been doing this for the last 3 years. And they've been helping help making great content that people want to listen to. Digital Pen Solutions because they're doing all the social media marketing that you might have seen or not seen. And these are the hashtags and the handles to use if you're on Twitter. How many of you are on Twitter? Raise of hands. If you guys want to share pictures, any wisdom that comes out, go ahead and quote me. I don't mind. This is what the handles and the hashtags include: the ProductCamp Boston hashtag, personal branding hashtag, and then my company's and then my own as well handles. Either one of those works. Checking in, you can actually check in either in the back or you can navigate to this URL and submit the web form. You're going to get all this information back via email, or you can connect with me and just tell me when you connect saying, hey, I'm here, Hector, and I want to be eligible to win the prizes. These are the prizes. 3 lucky winners will get a hoodie and one of these wicked smart mugs from AIPMM country. 7 seconds or less is what we all take to make a snap judgment about whether we like someone that we're meeting for the first time or not. Furthermore, undoing a bad first impression is almost impossible. From a marketing point of view, you now have to fight 4 to 8 times harder to capture that lead than somebody who likes you in the first place. So what that means from a marketing budget, if you're not presenting yourself the right way, you're going to have to market a lot harder than somebody who presents themselves the right way to the right segments of the population. This is about product marketing, number 1. And it impacts your marketing revenue, your cost, and your sales revenue. And it impacts your cost of customer acquisition and retention, both. If you don't know how to present yourself on social media or on your website or your blog, which not only you need as individuals, but also companies, everybody's struggling because they don't even know and not even engaging. Am I introducing myself? They're not asking the question, am I introducing myself the right way so that I'm attracting the right types of customers and detracting the ones that I don't want? Because product management is not only about understanding who your target is, most important is about who is not your target so that you're not wasting your marketing and your sales budget. And the same thing works at a personal level. Personal branding is no different. A first impression, a great first impression, is crucial because from there, you're going to have to work a lot harder to try to get an interview somewhere or try to even get a call back when you're submitting your cover letter and resume when you're looking for a specific position. So the next thing is we're going to focus on answering, why do some people just attract people naturally, especially when they're just introducing themselves for the first time? And no matter whether you're talking about a celebrity or an entertainer, a personality, a politician, we need to learn how to do this because for us, it's about whether or not, how hard, how easy it's going to be for us to submit an application and actually get a call back. Go into an interview and actually get the job, right? These are all things that we're all going to be doing at some point in our life, some of us more often than others, and you need to get really good at this. Presenting yourself and have clarity as to who your target is and who is not your target so that you can then focus on developing and building a brand that attracts the right targets. And that's the bottom line. We're going to cover in this why the brand matters, how to actually make a powerful first impression when you're meeting somebody new, 6 steps to supercharging your brand and crafting your elevator pitch. And we're gonna do a hands-on, so make ready, guys, because we're gonna come alive pretty quickly. So why does your brand matter? 7 reasons. First of all, I want to take a poll. How many of you actually do have a personal brand that you've been maintaining? Raise of hands. Okay, look around. It's not many of us, okay? And here's the irony. As senior product managers, product marketing managers, we're branding products, new products that we're launching into market. And yet, we don't even think about the value of branding ourselves when we're in the process of looking for our next opportunity. Same dynamics, you need to start looking at this. And branding is what? Which one is the one that focuses on branding? Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Which one does brand benefit the most or involve? It's a trick question. It's all of the above. Because branding is not just about how you see yourself and your expertise and your knowledge. It's about how others see you and also about your results, your outcomes. Personal brand, consider this. It's what people say about you when you're not in the room. It's the way people describe you when you're not in the room. And if you're not figuring out how to communicate effectively to those that are your collaborators, your support network, on how to present you when you're not there, guess what's happening? Are you attracting or are you repelling targets? Do you even know? If you're not measuring, I can tell you, you don't know. And not knowing means that you think that it's you, that even though you have the right education, the right experience, you're working a lot harder to get an interview or even get a job. And it's all because you're not even looking at the root cause, which is you gotta start communicating what is the right message of the way you want to be introduced when you're not in the room. So people that do this, not just celebrities, politicians, it's really all about understanding the value of personal branding. And here's quick 7 things. Number 1, it's your opportunity to tell the story the way you want to tell it. It's basically how you want to be described on your tombstone when you're done. And never all of us are going down that route. What do you want people to put in there? You control the story, and you need to manage that. Even if you hire a ghostwriter, you provide the main highlights as to the way you want to be described. Number 2, it establishes your credibility and trust in front of others. And yes, this process starts even before people meet you face to face. Number 3, it strengthens your leadership skills because maintaining it, working on this brand, pretty much like any product that you're branding, any story that you're telling about a product, it requires work. Once you begin, you've got to continue to refresh as things happen and as you continue to grow up in life. Number 4, it builds rewarding relationships. The more that you are now focused on the right targets, it helps you attract them and then engage them. And now it's just a matter of time before they might have something for you, not necessarily today, but maybe a couple of years down the road. Number 5, engaging your target audience and having clarity as to who is not your target and why. Number 6, creating higher perceived value in front of the right stakeholders. That whatever it is, it's more than just your education, more than just your salary, it's more than what, it's basically not just the tangibles, it's also the intangibles of what you can do. And you need to present those because tangibles, just as they're important, intangibles can be just as important in some cases. Number 7, makes a powerful first impression. Because at this point, you know exactly who your target is, and you already have predetermined what are the talking points, and what should be your 15-second, 30-second, 60-second, 90-second elevator pitch, because you never know how many floors that building has. And you need to make sure that you at least have a portfolio of pitches once you know that you're in front of a target. So these are the seven benefits of a personal brand. And what I'm finding out is most people are struggling across any combination of this. So we're going to go to some of this, and it requires a lot of self-awareness, which is really hard because most of us, we're not very smart at really assessing ourselves. Sometimes we think of ourselves, way higher than others do. In other cases, when we have low self-esteem, low confidence, we're presenting ourselves, not at the right level where everybody views us. Either way, it's an issue, right? You need to figure out how to correct that and how to do that over time. So how do you make a powerful first impression? 7 things that we're going to cover here that are about how to make a powerful first impression, and then we're going to get into our first exercise. Number 1, it's about being on time. Be respectful of other people's time, be on time, show up on time, and make sure that you're there. Have a brief introduction that you have already pre-planned with talking points as well, once you know that you're going to be in front of targets. Be open and confident. Make sure that you feel comfortable in whatever environment, and sometimes we struggle because if we come from a certain type of profession, we tend to be too introverted or too extroverted. And that you need to kind of figure out what the right balance is for you, because you need to be open and confident even though you may be an introvert. And sometimes you need to be doing this when there's a lot of crowds, people that you don't know. Have a winning smile. Smile is the number one thing that you could be doing that is nonverbal communication that attracts people. Now you need to worry about is figuring out how to figure out, are you attracting the right targets or somebody who's not a target? Number 5, ask follow-up questions, talking points. And again, just like we produce a frequently asked questions list whenever we launch a new product for sales enablement, we need to do that about ourselves and about who we engage once we know who our targets are. Number 6, actively listen. Be quick to listen, slow to speak, ask the right questions. That's what I say. If you follow that order, you'll be good to go. So don't focus on telling too much about yourself. Focus on understanding, empathizing, then ask questions and qualify them further. Number 7, find ways to add value. And sometimes, guess what? The saying that goes that somebody's trash, a man's trash, maybe somebody else's treasure, works in networking. What I focus on, once I do all the first 6 steps, the way I add value, it's about looking for other people that I know that they don't know, that I can connect them to, because what they're telling me, if I connect them with this other person that they don't know, and I know that they're here, may add a lot of value based on what they're doing. And I do that all the time, and it gives me a lot of, paying forward so that at some point I see payback from those relationships. If you follow the 7 steps, you're gonna build not just momentary relationships. People will remember you for years, even though they may have only met you once or twice. And that's it. This is the way it works. So you need to figure out how do you do this, because it does take a lot of thought. So we're gonna stop here. And one of the things that I want you to do is, pair up, because one of you is gonna introduce yourself to the other, and you may not be in front of people that you know. So just pick somebody to your left and just introduce yourself and then stop. So let's say I'm gonna give you 30 seconds, so go. Okay, stop. Everybody stop. Okay, now number 1. 84% of communication is nonverbal, right? And as soon as I said announce, you guys went and started speaking right away. Now I wanna get some things. What did you first notice when you're meeting somebody?
Smile.
Smile. What else do you notice besides a smile?
Eye contact.
Eye contact. What else?
Posture.
Posture. Your body talks, right? Our body gestures talk. And if you're saying something and I'm looking like I'm defensive, I can be saying all these great positive things, and what are people going to see me do? You're going to say, is this guy real? Right? My credibility goes down. And it's all because I'm saying the right things, but I'm just don't have the right posture. So be aware of your body language because it counts more than actual verbal communication. So what's the other thing that has nothing to do with, hi, I'm so-and-so? Before you even get there, what's the other thing that you notice?
Attire? Clothing? Dress?
Yes, clothing. What else?
Tone of voice.
How about the handshake? What type of handshake? So there's different types of handshakes, right? What is the right handshake and what is not the right handshake when you want to appear confident? Like, I got this, and I'm pleased to meet you. And you're not really like saying, I'm really pleased to meet you. It's like, okay, you need to start like figuring that out. So handshakes, just like there is eye contact, smile, a handshake is also non-verbal, right? And actually it's your first contact even when you're introducing yourself to someone for the first time. So let's talk about what is the right way to do a handshake. There is the limp fish handshake, when you're doing like this and then like this, right? There's the, kiss my ring handshake, right? And all those are complete detractors because you could be saying, hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm CEO of the company that you want to be in, and you're saying, I don't think I want to work for your company anymore, right? This is how strong this is. So figure out that body language, your posture, your appearance, your behavior, your communication counts more even before you speak. So if I ask you, what is the number one thing you can do to actually start attracting the right targets on social media profiles, which is the one thing you can do that projects without you saying a thing to whoever visits your profile? It's a headshot, right? And it's the difference between your headshot on Instagram or Facebook or a headshot on LinkedIn. So be aware of that because you do not want to be putting your Facebook pictures on LinkedIn. And you want to use LinkedIn as your professional number one platform to meet people even before they actually meet you face to face. Everything else, may not necessarily work depending on what you're doing. Especially when you're in business, you want to make sure that you're using LinkedIn as your profile to start distributing a lot of the things that we're talking about here. And actually, one of the playbooks that I made available to you once you checked in is from LinkedIn on what are the things that you can do on your own to actually clean up your own profile, and gives you a lot of tips on the different sections of the profile that you need to work on and start making it much more fresh and make sure that it's about your brand, the right image, the right language that attracts your targets. So we're going to come back and do more because now it's going to be a written exercise as part of the six steps. We're going to cover 6 steps to supercharge your brand, and we're going to cover them, and I'm just going to say what they are first, and I'm going to cover them in more detail, and we're going to stop and do some writing in between. Number 1, assess your profile. The situation may be like, okay, here's where I'm at today, and here's my education level, here's my years of experience, here's all the companies that I work for up to now. What do I do next, right? Because how many of you, if I had the question, how many of you are gainfully employed but completely unhappy in your current jobs, right? No, you don't have to necessarily fess up, but I've been there, done that multiple times, and I know I do not want to be where I don't want to be, right? So I put together a plan to avoid the situation where I end up in a wrong environment and then I just don't fit in. And even though I'm making great money, I'm just not happy with the environment, the people, and it may be a toxic environment, and then it lowers my self-esteem over time. You don't want to be in that situation for too long. If you're in that situation, I would say figure out a way to get out. Like, get out! Number 2, choose what you want. Once you know exactly what your situation is, so figure out what is the right environment for me. And there's no same answer for anybody because we all have a different combination of things that we like versus things that we don't like, and there's always trade-offs, right? So you have to be clear as to what are the things that you're willing to give up and still be happy, and what are the things that you just won't give up in order for you to be happy, have nothing to do with your salary. figure this out first, because if you're just doing it for the salary, I can tell you, you're going to be unhappy for a long, long time. Because you're going to get paid well, but you're going to be unhappy no matter where you are. That's the way it works. So you got to figure out how to do it in such a way that you're leveraging your strengths, minimizing your weaknesses, and then being in the right environment and finding out what is the right style that appeals to you the most where you want to be. Because just because everybody's working at Google or IBM or whatever doesn't mean that that's the right environment for you. And just because they have job openings with the right job title doesn't mean that you should be applying to those type of companies. So it requires a lot of self-awareness to get to number 2. Number 3, once you understand that, now you start figuring out who are the right target. And targets may include not just people, but companies, locations, and figure out what is that combination, because it's going to help you narrow your search. Because it's now just not anybody in the greater Boston area. It's now only very specific types of employers that are the right size, the right revenue, have the right environments, and it will help you now figure out how to not appeal to everybody, just appeal to where you want to be next. So understanding who your target is just as important as understanding who is not your target. Just because they have a job position at the right salary level that you want to be at doesn't mean that you should be applying to those companies. So there's a lot of research involving number 3. And often, a lot of A/B testing, because you think you might like this company, and when you really find out and dig a little deeper, guess what? You don't want to be there, right? So 3 and 4, you kind of iterate, because there may be a lot of A/B testing. Target 1, target A, target B. How do you position against target B, target A or B? Because it's different positioning, same person. You're presenting a different value proposition based on what they're looking for. Because you represent multiple values, you figure out target A wants what? What does target B wants the most? And that's the number one thing you present yourself, not the 80 things that you've done, the one thing they're looking for that they value the most. And sometimes it takes iteration to do 3 and 4. You're not always right the first time, and it takes experience. The next one is finding the unique value, getting noticed, and decide what's next. So we're going to go into assessing your situation. You have 2 pages in front of you, and if you don't, there's extra handouts, and I have some extra ones. You're going to go to page number 2, and you're going to turn it to the back, which is blank. In here, it's a self-assessment, where you're going to be assessing your knowledge, your skills, your abilities, your interests, your passions, your values. You're not going to do it all. We're going to do some specific things. So number 1, what are your interests? Meaning, these are the things that you like to do, because you just have an interest in those kinds of things. It could be anything, right? Does not have to be work related. If it is, write it down. Just write down 2 or 3 interests, and then we can move on to the next. So I'll give you a few seconds to do that, and hopefully you'll be able to cover at least partial. We'll start from the top, and then we'll skip throughout in the rest of the steps. All right, and if you are a fast writer and reader, move on to the next one, which is what are your passions? And the way I define passion, a passion is something you really like to do, and you like it, you love it so much that you would do it even if nobody paid you. And it may be a hobby for you today because you just love doing this, and you wish you would find somebody to pay you because you just love doing it. You don't mind spending time because you love doing it. What is that? You may not be getting paid for it today. What are your passions? And it could be anything. Sailing, scuba diving, skiing, being responsible for a team at work, doing a specific type of research, for example, and maybe another passion if you're really into hard skills. And if you're done with that, we're going to do one more, and that is 3 values. And values are adjectives, right? Like, I'm courageous, or, I'm confident, or whatever it is that you want people to describe you. Put 3 things that really appeal to you in the way you want to be described, in the way you want others to describe you. 3 things, 3 adjectives, how you want to be described. Okay, and let me continue on. We're going to come back to this form. So just complete that, and then I'm going to proceed on with additional things. Part of other things will be your appearance, and the appearance can be divided. Your personal image can be divided into 3 components, and each one has multiple things that you can actually figure out where you need improvement and which ones of these are your strengths, because everybody has different strengths and weaknesses across personal image. Number 1 is the way is the actual appearance, and the appearance can be across any of these. It's about the way you behave in certain situations, and it's also about the way you communicate with your peers, with your superiors, a 360 assessment of the way you communicate when you're in specific environments. And it could be personal, social environments. It could be also about professional environments. Most of us have multiple circles where we actually are changing continuously because our roles do change. We're fathers, we're husbands, we're sons, daughters. We have different roles in life, just like we are a product manager or a product marketing manager or a brand manager. So these are all the things that we're not necessarily gonna cover this, but be aware that this is also, you need to match what's on the inside that makes you happy with the way that you want to appear in front of the right targets. And make sure it matches your target's values and beliefs. And number 2 is choose what you want. And choose what you want is really about understanding that when there is no plan about your career, where you're at, that's exactly where you're gonna, where you should be. Because without a plan, no one can get to, be where you wanna be. So number 2 is really about making sure that you have a career plan. And if that entails that you need to grow up, then you have a plan as to how you grow up. And you break it down into hard skills, expertise that you need to build, in addition to soft skills. And for product managers, those of you who have been in product management for, let's say, 5, 10 years, which is most important as a product manager? The hard skills or the soft skills? How many of you say hard skills are most important? Raise your hands. There's no right or wrong answer. How many of you say soft skills is a must for product management? Look around. That's a majority of you, and it's no surprise. So are you surprised when you see all these technology companies that have hundreds of product managers, and they put out product, and those products never become bestsellers? They never become market share leaders. Why is that? Because they're thinking product, you build it, we have all this knowledge to build, we just build. Let somebody else, marketing and sales, figure out how to market and sell it. They don't put that process in place and saying, wait a minute, who's our target customer, number 1? What are they looking for? What are they willing to purchase? At what price? And what can we present to them that maximizes the value, offer at the right price, and we just offer, instead of 80 things, 3 things that they want the most? And this is where companies that are leaders in this do this all the time. They start with understanding their targets, number 1, and who is not their target, and they go after and figure out what to sell to the targets. And Apple does this brilliantly around the world. Very few companies do that because they start with just building something and then figure out, toss it to the marketing and sales team and say, hey, figure out how to sell this. And it's like trying to, fit a square peg into a round hole in the marketplace. It just doesn't fit. And everything goes down from there. If you're in that type of environment, I can tell you, you don't want to be a product manager that just focuses on the hard skills because that's what they value. And you see those track records because you become a technical leader, been there, done that. They bring you into management, and all of a sudden now you have a management title. I'm going like, what? And nobody sees the value because nobody talks to managers, right? Developers don't talk to managers. And that's, it's a huge silo within those organizations, and there's little collaboration. When what you really need to actually gain the marketplace, it's lots of collaboration across teams, everybody working in your building. So soft skills are huge, and the ones where you should be investing in growing over time and getting even better is your soft skills. Because the ROI is highest, especially if you know that you're interested in not only getting into product management or product marketing or brand management, but staying in the long term. And guess what? The best product managers in the world over time, where do they go? They become product executives within companies. Not necessarily the same company, but a different company. And you look at everyone from, people that you think, well, who was the first product manager within Microsoft when Bill Gates was at the helm? It wasn't Bill Gates, it was the co-founder that actually was the one that got to purchase or the rights to DOS that allowed them to then offer the first operating system that was branded as Microsoft. Same thing for Apple. Apple Jobs was not a product manager, ever. It was Steve Wozniak, co-founder of Apple, who was Apple's first product manager. And then everything scales from there. Companies that grow faster than the average, they have the people that understand product management and product marketing as their co-founders. I mean, you look at around, what happened to Dropbox? Where are they at now compared to Box? They just did an IPO, and the IPO was really successful. When Box has been around, mostly losing a lot of market share because Dropbox had a brilliant user experience compared to Box. Same product otherwise, different brand. Airbnb, where are they now? How long have they been around? They grew very quickly with a very small team, and they had product management in place from the very beginning. There's plenty of companies, examples that I can tell you, grew faster than the average, became global companies very quickly within the first 5 years of being started. And it's all because they had a great product manager as a co-founder. It's not by accident, it's by design. This is how powerful somebody who's the right product manager, understands the value of product management and product marketing, builds it from the top, and you're not reporting to marketing or the chief marketing officer. You're not reporting to the VP of engineering. You're now reporting to the VP of product or the chief product executive within the company, because these companies are now creating their own executive role for product management and product marketing. And everybody has been ongoing conversation, where does product management belong? Engineering or marketing? Neither. They should be reporting directly to the CEO. At least the person with the most experience that has the right expertise and everything in place that's needed to bring a product to market and make it a global leader, even though you're not first to market. You got to make him part of the C-suite. Very few companies are doing that today, and that is the wrong path. If you want to grow, you want to start with a product management executive. Just like you have a CEO, CFO, CMO, you need to have a product executive in your C-suite. Number 3, focus on your target. And focus on your target, it means that you break it down into what industries you want to be in, what customers you like, whether they're consumers or enterprise or a combination of both. What is the company's reputation? What is the culture within the company? What are the processes or the maturity of the processes? Because all these things can make your job harder if you don't have the right things. I often say that the right target for me are companies who understand the value of product management, where I don't have to justify why should I be reporting directly to the CEO when I'm coming in. Because now I'm coming in as an executive. And I've worked with executives across companies, across industries, and that's what I've been doing for the last few years. So for me, I know that when I come in, I interview. And even before I interview, I actually research the entire C-suite within the company and say, where have you been and what is your track record? Because sometimes that's a great indicator as to whether or not the culture is the right culture. Because if I know where they've been and I know what's happened there, I know that what's most likely to happen to that company in the future. So I'm doing a lot of research because I'm going in and just interviewing, and even before I even accept, I ask for a one-on-one with everyone on the C-suite that I depend on. Marketing, the CEO, the CFO, that allocates budget for any development projects that I want to start, or that I want to continue, or I want to scale. because there's always going to be a combination of that across a portfolio. Then finding your unique value, the way you present yourself is make sure that at least your employer sees the value with respect to your collaborators, the partners of the company, the customers, and the competitors. And if you're having a hard time, if you're here and you're not getting the traction and somebody else is getting the market share, where would you go if you're in this environment and your company, people that you work with, is not the right environment? If you want to retain, still working with leverage, the relationships you have with your suppliers, the same customers, where is the most obvious choice for you to go next if you're here and you're unhappy?
Your competitors.
That's correct. That's correct. And sometimes you just have to do it. If you don't have the right environment and you want to still continue because you like the industry, you like the relationships that you already have, figure out who's the market leader and go to them instead. And you start basically just, how many of you guys going to conferences, trade shows where you're displaying, but also your competitors are displaying? Raise your hands. So who's your first point of entry when you want to go and assess your competitors? The people at the booth, right? Right next to you, right across from you. You start socializing, figuring out and getting to know the salespeople, the marketing people, work your way back, because sometimes you'll see the product managers there as well, right? Just start chatting with them and say, hey, what's going on? Tell me what's going on now. Where are you guys growing next? And after a while, if your competitors are outperforming you, it's because they have a better environment and no one in the C-suite is even aware within your own company that they have a toxic environment or the wrong environment to really foster the collaboration that you need to win. Getting noticed is about going out and raising the bar, so you can actually automate much of this. You can also decide on what's next by making sure that your goals and your objectives are not just smarter. Because the last thing is knowing when and how to evaluate what you're doing through your brand and when to readjust or pivot what you're doing, it's all up to you. If you're really, really looking to get out of where you're at, I would say you want to do this at least on a monthly basis or at least once a quarter as you're looking for your next opportunity. And always looking to network and make the right first impression when you're meeting people that are your targets. So before we go on, I want to go into a different exercise, and that is the putting together your elevator pitch. And your elevator pitch, in this case, we're going to work on very simple 4 sentences that you're going to build. And unfortunately, we don't have the room, but you can just find a place in your handouts where number 1, you're going to start with choose a label that the way you present yourself. I'm a developer. I'm a hardware developer. I'm a product manager. I'm an assistant product manager. I'm a senior developer. Choose a label that is what you're doing today. Your role today, what would you call yourself? Here's an example for me. I'm a product executive with over 15 years of experience working for companies around the world. Doesn't have to be very specific, be generic, but something that summarizes who you are today in a broad sort of like stroke. It could be as simple as I'm a developer, I'm a senior developer. You can say the type of development you do, or I'm in sales, I'm in marketing, I'm in customer support. That could be another role that you guys are at. How do you guys, what do you guys do? One sentence should be short. The second sentence is about describing where you've been. Here's mine. 15 years of experience, and I say, how do I list all the companies that I work for? You don't. This is what I say. I love working with people who build great products and they want to change the world. Not only they have great products, but they're also building great companies and they want to change the world. They have a purpose and it's a global purpose. And then number 3, write a sentence that says where you're currently in your role today. So today what I tell people when I say I build high-performing teams and help them adopt leading methods and tools to achieve smarter product outcomes. meaning outcomes that achieve growth in the business. And then finally, the fourth sentence is this one. A brief sentence about where you're going next. This is where this is where I've been, this is where I am now, this is where I want to go next, right? One sentence. I'm passionate, this is what my passions are. I love public speaking, right? I do this for free. This is why I come to product camps around the world, right? I love speaking and just being able to inspire others to do what even if I'm not necessarily bringing targets, I love to be able to inspire anybody who has the similar beliefs as I do. And so I love leading, training, and coaching, and I want to bring my expertise to a technology or software company who is funded for growth. Because there's a difference between working for a startup that has a great idea, no funding, and one that has a great idea and the right relationships because they already have enough people and enough critical mass in the C-suite to attract funding, and now they're looking for somebody who can help them scale the business. That's the difference of what I'm doing now. And if you do this, you're gonna end up with a statement, 4 sentences, 1 short paragraph that theoretically you should be doing to just get in front of a camera and do this, where you're actually saying what you're saying and then you're presenting it, and then you put this in your social media profiles. Because anything that ends up being less than 30 seconds, you can now upload directly on LinkedIn as a post. You can share it on Twitter as another tweet and say, hey, people, here's who I am. Let me know if you can connect me with the right folks that can help me to where I'm going next. Especially if you're seeking, this is great because it's only 15, 30 seconds. And it's you talking to the camera directly. I did this on my smartphone. I just do this, a selfie that's a video, and I just memorized my short paragraph about where I've been, who I am right now, where I'm going. And if you can do this, you can take the same short paragraph and guess what? Put it in your summary of your LinkedIn profile. If you visit my profile, which I gave you the URL to that, you'll see the same statement now in my summary, up front. If somebody clicks on see more on my profile, they'll see that up front. Especially if that's my number one goal is to get out of the environment that I'm in, because I'm unhappy. This is a way you can deploy your elevator pitch, text, video. You can make it into a podcast as well as if you're recording yourself. And just put it out there. See who bites. Put the right tags and keywords and somebody will find it. So anyway, I just want to wrap up real quick because it's about time. And here's my schedule, by the way. This is my only session, but I'll be going to be here, this particular ones, and actually on the landing page that you have access to. My schedule is already posted there. I have a break in between. If you want to chat more, I'll be more than happy. I'm here to meet people and see how I can help you. Here's the information where you can actually see the slides. That's the direct page. You guys stuck around with me, so thank you. Even if you didn't check in, you can go directly to the page that has the entire slide deck. And some of the things that are coming up are also posted in here. Webcasts that I'm doing in June and July through AIPMM. Some of the talks that I proposed that did not get voted in are going to be turned into webcasts in June and July. If you're interested, the short URL is so you can sign up. These are free to attend. You just sign up and show up. And my contact information, also an illustration of a summarized personal brand. My portrait, my name, my certifications, title, my company, and then ways to contact me. If you start doing this, whether you're talking or whether you put this in a business card or a virtual business card because it's easy to do, you're going to attract a lot of targets. If you guys are interested in setting up a 30-minute virtual interview or appointment with me to talk more about this and ways that I can help you, feel free to set up an appointment. These are, in the next month, I'm offering free 30-minute appointments. You guys can schedule them directly by going to this page here. And I want to thank you because I see Chris is up next, and he was here before when I was trying to set up. And I want to thank all of you for. So let me give you a plug. What's your topic?
I'm talking about pricing strategy, not
pricing
so much like the stuff that you learned in business school, but actually the tools of how
Yeah.
and how you do it yourself. I'm not a consultant, right? So I'm not trying to sell you. So I've just been through this path, and I thought it was worth sharing.
Yep. Also, if you know Steve Johnson, at the end of today, in the afternoon, he'll be here, same room, and I'll be here with him. He actually stepped in earlier. His talk is going to be in this room in the afternoon. So stick around till the end of the day. Steve will be talking here in this room. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hector.
Hey, thank you. Thanks, guy.
Thank you.